And to be honest, for the majority of golfers, simple outcome-based exercises such as this and new focus points can give them all the results that they're looking for, right? And it's a far easier or less barrier for entry for their improvement rather than getting too much caught up on the arc of their putter. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Kerrod here today on the golf course at the Forest of Arden with special guest Chris Ryan. Chris, thanks for coming along, my man.
Pleasure, man. Good to see you.
Chris is one of the all-time greatest YouTube golf coaches out there. He's got over 70 million views on his channel, so make sure you go and check him out. But today, Chris and myself, we're going to be working with Joe to improve his golf game, covering all aspects of his swing, elevating his performance without giving him a single technical process-orientated thought. You certainly don't want to miss out on this one. Let's get stuck in. Adventurous? Let's go again. So what would you generally do? Let's say you're trying to figure out how hard to hit this putt to that pin. Talk me through your process.
I mean, I don't try and bring it back a certain length. I kind of just see the putt and just, I don't really, I mean, figure out in my practice putts and then just try and hit one really. I don't really have a method or anything like that.
Just as a coach, Kerrod, when you hear an answer like that, are you thinking, he doesn't know? When they're searching for that answer and they're kind of flicking between what I do, it kind of suggests that if there was a plan, they'd tell you, wouldn't they?
Exactly.
Now, it's not Joe's fault because that's quite common.
Yeah.
But I call it like the hope shot.
Yeah.
You know, you get someone around the green, what you're trying to do. They're just hoping it goes close. There's not actually a plan there, is there?
Yeah, you go. I once heard a coach say that. I'm going to try and, what did he say? What did he say? And they're trying to figure it out in their head. Now, you're actually really not far off at all with what you're intending to say there, because we often see a lot of players, they get so caught up in their head about the technique of what they're doing, like keeping the putter straight, trying to get the perfect distance back and through. But you need to build a feel relative to the outcome. That changes all the time when you're out playing golf, right? And you're hardly ever going to have a putt which is exactly the same length or the same break or the same speed. And the greens change from day to day. You play different courses. And even the time of day, the greens are going to change speed. Isn't that correct? Yeah. So when it comes to having a process and a routine for what you're doing, on the putting green, it's incredibly important. Once again, very similar to other parts of the game, is most players neglect the process of having a rehearsal and focusing on what they want to achieve, and they get too caught up in the process of what they're doing. Yeah. So with what you're doing here, let's hit one more putt for me. Good, that was better. Now, when we see players on the putting green, this is a great conversation around effective practice, is we often see players put the ball in the same spot, they drop 4 or 5, and they simply react to the previous putt they did. But that's not actually learning, right? Because you don't get 2 chances unless you're playing game mulligans with your buddies out on the golf course. So you need to, when you've got a fresh putt in front of you, the first hole of the day or the 5th hole of the day of a different varying length, and you're not comfortable, maybe downhill, maybe some consequences like some water over the back, right? You need to have some sort of routine that you use on every single putt, which will give you a feel for how far you actually need to hit it. Right. Anything you'd add to that, Chris?
I think that's the key. I think trying to, you say, I can go on the practice putting green with 4 balls. First one goes too far past. Next 3 are really good. Then I go to the next hole. First one's short. Next 3 are really good. Yeah. You go around the putting green doing that, you come off going, my pace control's pretty good. Yeah. Like 3/4 of my putt to the right distance. Yeah. But golf is like, you've got 1 putt. Yeah. You've got to get it right. Then you've got to walk 10 minutes onto another green, then do it again. It's that first putt that's key. And I think, golfers can create a method or a way of practicing which gets them to feel like they're doing the right thing and they gain confidence, but it's false confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you were to describe that you had a routine at the moment, when you're out playing, would you have many practice swings?
1 or 2, but it's not a set, like select them out.
Yeah. Okay, great. So I want you to show us what that practice routine would look like, okay? So we're not going to hit the ball, we're just doing what you do if you're out on course. Okay. Perfect. Now, as coaches, you and me look at the length of stroke that Joe just took and we go, well, that ball's probably going to finish about here.
Yeah.
Right. Now, when you shift your attention to the outcome, you will find it greatly changes your feel. So, for example, if I was to give you $1 million, right? If I said, here, throw this ball to that cup. Do you think you'd be looking down at your arm and watching your arm go back and forth like this?
Yeah,
No, not at all, right? You'd be focusing on the outcome.
Yeah.
And no matter your skill set based around throwing or what sports you were playing throughout your whole life, each and every single one of us standing here would stand there and do a very similar thing. When there's something like that on the line, we would all be standing there and we'd have a couple of rehearsals going, okay, I'm getting a feel of length of arm swing and speed of arm swing to match it up with the target. So what you said before was spot on, right? You shouldn't be worrying too much about the process, and you weren't. But when you were actually doing those rehearsal swings, you were looking straight down.
Yeah.
So you're building a feel relative to no target.
Right.
And then, so for example, the length of stroke that you were taking would have put the ball to about here. Then all of a sudden you look up and you go, oh, it's longer. Maybe I accelerate more.
Yeah.
And that's where we really start to see the mechanics kind of break down, don't we?
Practice swings with context.
Yeah.
Practice swings down here are exactly that. There's practice swings, but
Yeah.
practice swings looking at a target and actually, I like to see the players not only look at the target, but actually just take their eyes from the target back to the ball and actually just look at that piece of green that the putt's going to roll across. And you're doing an exercise, but it's to absorb the situation as much as you can. I'm a big believer in sort of you see it, you absorb it, and you allow it to then go out through the putter.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like you were saying, looking down here, because potentially, you have a putting lesson maybe,
Yeah.
and then you're thinking about your stroke, and so that's where your focus goes. Whereas really, that's for the putting green. Out here is more kind of externally focused.
And to be honest, for the majority of golfers, simple outcome-based exercises such as this and new focus points can give them all the results that they're looking for, right? And it's a far easier or less barrier for entry for their improvement rather than getting too much caught up on the arc of their putter, right? And focusing on that. So I'm just going to come in, I'm just going to demonstrate exactly the routine that we want you to do. And then we're going to get you to do the same thing, walk in and then see the result.
Yep.
So what we would see them with the majority of professionals, right? They would stand somewhat close to the ball, not too far away at all, because then you have to move your whole body too far over when you actually go in. And you want to kind of create a routine. It's almost like a dance, right? So you're going to set up on the inside here and you're going to look at the target. Now from here, as you're looking at the target, you're building a feel of that putter head swinging back and through, okay? Now when you do this, it helps if you're relaxed. If you're tight and tense like this, Chris, well then you can't really feel what the head's doing, and we see the stroke looks very much like this. So nice and relaxed through the upper body, and you're looking at the target, you're just feeling the weight of the head swing back and through. Now when you do that, I'm not really focusing on exactly where it should be in the backswing, where it should be in the follow through. It's all relative to the individual and the tempo and the speed. I'm more so just building a feel for me as an individual at that target. So you're going to stand here, you're going to look, I go 1, 2, 3, stop, putter behind, in, one last look. As soon as the eyes go back, you hit the putt. And that just blends in beautifully with what Chris was just doing. So as you can see, it's a bit of a routine. Now the good thing about that is that's going to be putt dependent from hole to hole. So the routine's going to stay exactly the same, but then because you're focusing on the hole being a different distance away every time, essentially it's matching for the putt, and that's the context that Chris was just saying. Okay, so let's get you in. Let's see you do that. So you get a baseline for your alignment to allow for the curve of the green there. Perfect. Now look at the target. 3 smooth practice swings. Good. Now I want you to stop there. Did that feel like enough length and speed to get the ball from point A to point B?
I feel like the first one wasn't, and then the second and third I kind of adjusted.
Yeah, perfect. Now, without looking at the cup, you would have had no idea. And you would have made 3 that were exactly the same as the first one, right? So let's do that once more. And you can see, Chris, that the length of swing is just wildly different.
Totally different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost doubled, right? So we're going to do it once more with those 3 practice swings. Looking at it, I feel like you've got a good routine down pat. From there, go ahead, hit the putt. Focus on the cup the entire time. Think about the cup when you're looking back at the ball in your mind's eye. You know what? That was really good, mate.
Yeah.
How'd it feel like it came off the face?
Yeah, a lot better than it normally would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So simply through just a shift of a new process, right? The more that you practice that, the better and better you're going to get at it. And you'll find that your putting performance will just elevate and you won't have so many 3-putts around the green. Great job.
And I think that's the kind of thing which can develop more and more.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, that's a better process, but you're probably still thinking about, I've got to have 3, then I'm going to walk it. You're almost thinking of the process, which detracts a little bit from it.
Yeah.
So it'll be better, but the more you can just have that as a natural process, then it opens really, your distance control can really get done.
Yeah, yeah. Very much like a habit, as with anything else. All right, great job. Nice.